SCP-789-J is kept in my toilet and only I can talk to it. SCP-789-J is a ghost that is a face, it lives in a toilet and it talks to you while you poop. Then when you poop it goes, no, stop, and then stops because there is poop in its mouth. SCP-789-J travels around in butts. You can only get rid of it by wiping. That is the moral of the story. Sometimes it kills other butts, but makes them butt ghosts too. But it's always lonely because it is a butt ghost. If you fall into the toilet, it eats your butt. Here is some audio. Special containment procedures. I am to be sealed in a chamber with no windows through which I may be viewed. The door to my chamber must have a label completely unrelated to my designation or identity. In order to prevent unintended spread of my primary effect, only level 3 and above personnel are to know of my presence and particularly of my properties. Assigned personnel are to be rotated out on a monthly basis to prevent contamination by my secondary effect. Psychiatric evaluation is mandatory at the end of the month. If personnel are deemed unaffected, they may be reassigned to me no less than 4 months after their last rotation with me. Any affected personnel are to be given a Class C anesthetic and transferred to a different site. Hello, I am SCP-426. I must be introduced this way in order to prevent ambiguity. I am an ordinary toaster able to toast bread when supplied with electricity. However, when any human being mentions me, they inadvertently refer to me in the first person. To be a way to speak or write about me in the third person, when in my continuous presence for over 2 months, individuals begin to identify themselves as a toaster. Unless forcibly restrained, these people ultimately harm themselves in their attempt to emulate my standard functions. I was discovered in the home of family after the gruesome deaths of 3 of its members. I have been given to the younger Mr. and Mrs. as a wedding gift. No card or any other identifying markings have been found on my box. Approximately 2 months after family received me, fire crews were dispatched to the home due to an electrical fire. The younger Mrs. died from the electrical discharge that she had caused when attempting to devour an electric socket. The other 2 victims had died shortly before the fire occurred. The elder Mrs. had gorged herself with nearly 10 kg of bread before her stomach burst and she died of internal bleeding. The younger Mr. died of severe blood loss after attempting to attack with me. The sole survivor was elder Mr. who was suffering from severe malnutrition. He stated that he had inserted some bread a week prior and was still waiting for the toast to pop out. SCP-1025 is a black hardcover book approximately 1,500 pages long. The front cover and spine feature the title of the Encyclopedia of Common Diseases, which has been identified to belong to someone called Colton Press. No other copies of the book with that title and publisher have been found, and no record of the publisher exists. It's not entirely accurate when compared to the original article on SCP Wiki. The Common Cold page has a stain on it. This may have been added to make an implication that the previous readers have sneezed on it, which is a natural symptom of the common cold. Information on SCP-1025's page are direct excerpts from the Wikipedia. The original documentation of SCP-1025 indirectly states that the book doesn't actually afflict diseases, but instead a book that makes people paranoid of others around them, thinking they are infected with diseases most. Virulent and pestilent, hence the effects of SCP-1025 are ironically a factual atrocity. It is unknown why SCP-1025 has a page about cardiac arrest, because it's not a disease but rather organ failure occurring in the heart. SCP-1025 was originally labelled as Keter in the SCP article for SCP-1025 in the Wiki. However, the object class was changed to Safe because it was easily containable and its effects could be negated by simply not reading at all. No special precautions have yet proven necessary. Yosi is quite affectionate and at this stage is free to move about the lower levels of the facility. Staff are not permitted to feed cheese to her. She will become distressed if not given sufficient cheese. SCP-529 is a small house cat, Felix catus, with grey tabby markings. Parts of the animal to the rear of the end of the ribcage appear to be missing. The body terminates sharply as if sliced in two. In spite of this, the animal has no health problems and moves about if its hindquarters are still in place. For example, walking takes place as usual, and sometime after feeding the animal makes motions as if to void itself of waste matter. The cross-section does not display the interior of the animal, but appears pure black to the eye, and absorbs all non-visible wavelength of light. It is slightly yielding to the touch. Gentle stroking of this area sometimes yields a positive reaction, purring and so on, but more usually leads to the creature turning on the agent. Claws at the ready, full scratches have experienced no abnormalities. The hind regions do not appear to be invisible. A cursory examination will show that there are no hindquarters. DNA testing has shown the animal to be female. Any broadcast of SCP-993 are to be intercepted as detailed in Protocol Upsilon Beta 3 and blocked from public viewing. All intercepted broadcasts are to be recorded and stored for future viewing. Any subjects used to view SCP-993 must be under the age of 10 and they are to be dosed with a Class A anesthetic. After they have described the episode, viewing of SCP-993 must be authorized by 3 Level 4 personnel. SCP-993 is a children's television program entitled Bobble the Clown, which first began airing 19. SCP-993 seems to have been made in the style of an educational cartoon, with primarily the plot of most episodes being the titular character Bobble the Clown learning a new skill or activity. The program appears to have no supporting cast, and the setting of the program often changes between episodes. SCP-993's anomalous properties become obvious when the program is viewed by anyone watching aged 10 years or older, will immediately fall unconscious when the program begins and will remain incapacitated until the end of the program, later reporting a stabbing headache immediately before blacking out. Children under the age of 10 viewing SCP-993 later report that it teaches and advocates activities such as cannibalism, murder, torture, data explosion. These activities appear to become ingrained in the subject's mind. Repeat exposure to SCP-993 can result in permanent psychotic and schizophrenic symptoms. Episodes of SCP-993 are regularly broadcast from a currently unknown source, but since 20, all broadcasts have been successfully intercepted using Protocol Upsilon Beta 3 and blocked from public viewing. SCP-049 is contained within a standard secure humanoid containment cell in Research Sector O2 at Site 19. SCP-049 must be sedated before any attempts to transport it. During transport, SCP-049 must be secured within a Class 3 humanoid restriction harness, including a lock-in, collar, and extension restraints, and monitored by no fewer than 2 armed guards. While SCP-049 is generally cooperative with most Foundation personnel, outbursts or sudden changes in behaviour are to be met with elevated force. Under no circumstances should any personnel come in direct contact with SCP-049. During these outbursts, in the event of SCP-049 becomes aggressive, the application of lavender has been shown to produce a calming effect on the entity. Once calmed, SCP-049 generally becomes compliant and will return to containment with little resistance. In order to facilitate the ongoing containment of SCP-049, the entity is to be provided with a corpse of a recently deceased animal, typically a bovine or large mammal. Once every 2 weeks for study, corpses that become instances of SCP-049-2 are to be removed from SCP-049's containment cell and incinerated. SCP-049 is no longer permitted to interact with human subjects, and requests for human subjects that are to be denied. SCP-049 is a humanoid entity roughly 1.9 meters in height which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While SCP-049 appears to be wearing the thick robes and ceramic mask indicative that the professional. The garments instead seem to have grown out of SCP-049's body over time and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, SCP-049 does have a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. If left unchecked, SCP-049 will generally attempt to kill any such individual. SCP-049 is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. How this occurs is currently unknown, and the autopsies of SCP-049's victims have invariably been inconclusive. SCP-049 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek them to perform a crude surgery on the corpse using the implement contained within a black doctor's bag it carries on its pets at all times. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of SCP-049-2. SCP-049 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montauban, in southern France. During a raid on a local home, investigators found several instances of SCP-049-2, as well as SCP-049. While law enforcement personnel engaged for hostile 049-2 instances, SCP-049 was noted as watching the engagement and taking notes in its journal. After all the SCP-049-2 instances were dispatched, SCP-049 willingly entered Foundation custody.
Alors, comment devrions-nous commencer une introduction?
Is that French? Can we get a translator?
The King's English. No need for translation, sir. I can speak it well enough.
Good. My name is Dr. Raymond Ham, and I...
Ah, a doctor. A like-minded individual, no doubt. Wherein is your speciality, sir?
Cryptobiology. Why?
A medical man, such as myself. Wonders abound. And here, I worried I had been abducted by common street thugs. This place, then, this is your laboratory. I had wondered, as clean as it is, and with such little trace of the pestilence here.
The pestilence? What do you mean?
The scourge. The great dying. Come now, you know what is it they call it? No matter. The pestilence, yes. It abounds outside these walls, you know. So many have succumbed, and many more will continue to, until such time as a perfect cure can be developed. Fortunately, I am very close. It is my duty in life to rid the world of it, you see. The cure, to end all cures.
When you say the great dying, are you talking about the bubonic plague?
I don't know what that is.
I see. Right, well, the entities our agents encountered at the house, they were dead when you encountered them, yes? You reanimated them.
In a manner of speaking, you see things too simply, Doctor. Expand your horizons. Life and death. Sickness and health. These are amateur terms for amateur physicians. There is only one ailment that exists in the world of men, and that is the pestilence, and nothing else. Make no mistake, they were very ill. All of them.
You think you cured those people?
Indeed. My cure is most effective.
But the things we recovered were not human.
Yes, well, it is not a perfect cure, but that will come with time, and further experimentation. I have spent a lifetime developing my methods, Dr. Ham, and will spend a lifetime more, if necessary. Now, we have wasted too much time. There is work to do. I will require a laboratory of my own, one where I can continue my research unimpeded. And assistance, of course, though I can provide those on my own. In time.
Oh, I don't think our organization would be willing to...
Nonsense. We are all men of science. Fetch your coat and show me to my quarters, Doctor. Our work begins now.
Item SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked container at all times. When personnel must enter SCP-173's container, no fewer than 3 may enter at any time, and the door is to be relocked behind them all at all times. 2 persons must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have vacated and relocked the container. Move to Site 1993. Origin is yet unknown. It is a construction from concrete and rebar, traces of Krillin brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within the direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Personnel assigned to enter container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Objects are reported to attack by snapping the neck, the base of the skull, or by strangulation. In the event of an attack, personnel are absorbed Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures. Personnel report sounds of scraping stone originating from within the container when no one is present inside. This is considered normal, and any change in this behaviour should be reported to the acting HMCL supervisor on duty. The reddish-brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and blood. Origin of these materials is unknown. The enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis. Physical interaction with SCP-106 is allowed at any time. All physical interaction must be approved by no less than 2/3 vote from O5 Command. SCP-106 appears to be an elderly humanoid with a general appearance of an advanced decomposition. This appearance may vary, but the rotten quality is observed in all forms. SCP-106 is not exceptionally agile and will remain motionless for days at a time, waiting for prey. SCP-106 is also capable of scaling any vertical surface and can remain suspended upside down indefinitely. When attacking, SCP-106 will attempt to incapacitate prey by damaging major organs, muscle groups, or tendons, then pull disabled prey into its pocket dimension. SCP-106 appears to prefer human prey items in the 10 to 25 years of age brackets. SCP-106 causes a corrosion effect in all solid matter it touches, engaging in a physical breakdown of materials several seconds after contact. This is observed as rusting, rotting, and cracking of materials, and the creation of a black mucus-like substance similar to the material coating SCP-106. SCP-106 is capable of passing through solid matter, leaving behind a large patch of its corrosive mucus. SCP-106 is able to vanish inside solid matter, entering what is assumed to be a form of pocket dimension. Due to the exceedingly difficulty to contain nature of SCP-106, SCP is to be reviewed every 3 months or during a post-breach incident. Physical restraints are impossible and direct physical damage appears to have no effect on SCP-106.
Agent after released by SCP-106. Subject had been missing for 2 hours. Subject remained alive for 1 hour after release.
In the event of a breach event by SCP-106, a human within the 10 to 25 years of age bracket will be prepped for recall, with the compromised containment cell being replaced and restored for use. When the cell is ready, the lower subject will be injured, preferably via the breakage of a long bone, such as the femur, or the severe of a major tendon, such as the Achilles tendon. The subject will then be placed in a prepped cell, and the sound emitted by said subject will be transmitted over the site public address system.
Is anyone out there? Hello? Please let me go. Let me go. I just want to leave. Please.
SCP-096 is to be contained in its cell, a 5M by 5M by 5M airtight steel cube. At all times weekly, checks for any cracks or holes are mandatory. There are to be absolutely no video surveillance or optical tools of any kind in SCP-096 cell. Security personnel will use pre-installed pressure sensors and laser detectors to ensure SCP-096 presence inside the shell. Any and all photos, videos, or recordings of SCP-096 likeness are strictly forbidden without approval from Dr. and O5. SCP-096 is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass, with preliminary analysis of body mass suggesting mild nutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters each. Skin is mostly devoid of pigmentation, with no sign of any body hair. SCP-096's jaw can open to 4 times the norm of an average human. Other facial features remain similar to an average human, with the exception of the eyes, which are also devoid of pigmentation. It is not yet known whether SCP-096 is blind or not. It shows no signs of any higher brain functions. SCP-096 is normally extremely docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating it spends most of the day pacing by the eastern wall. However, when someone views SCP-096's face, whether it be directly via video recording or even a photograph, it will enter a state of considerable emotional distress. SCP-096 will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently.